Mom, so talk a little bit about your experience, like having a job and being a mom at the same time, and like what you would have done differently, if anything. I think that's pretty important to talk about.
Yeah. So I'm one of those people that I don't like to do something unless I'm going to do it well. And so my kids know they're the most important thing in my life by far, like way above everything else. So my job suffers, because I don't get to, I wouldn't say it suffers. I would say I don't get to put as much effort into it as I would if that was the only thing I had to do. But I have multiple things I have to juggle. So, my kids are going to come first, and that's where I'm going to put my energy. Luckily for me, I was able to work from home the whole time I raised them. So that was good. So I had a lot of flexibility, so I could be there for them. But most people don't have that luxury. If I would have worked in a pharmacy, because when I graduated, I thought, oh, I'm a pharmacist. I'm going to work at Rite Aid, and I'm going to dispense prescriptions, and then I'll be home at 5 o'clock. If I had to do that, I don't think my kids would have had as good of a quality of childhood. But what would I have done differently? And when I thought about why I wanted to do this podcast today, I do think it's really important, for the young people listening to this, to really think long and hard about who you marry. Make sure you marry the right person, because it all stems from there. And someone who's very supportive of having that family unit. And I'm not saying women shouldn't work, but I'm saying it has to be such that you can keep that family unit intact and that your kids are always top priority. So you want to make sure that between you and your spouse that you are able to give your children a very stable, loving home. And there may be husbands that choose to stay home. I'm not saying there's a right way or a wrong way, because every situation is different, but I think that there needs to be a much greater emphasis on, make sure you choose the right person and really think long and hard. Write yourself a questionnaire of what you want to ask this person before you decide whether they're marriage material, because everything stems from that. Your children's health, your own health, everything will depend on, that decision. So, the career that you choose for yourself, be, great. You can be successful, but it's not like it all stems from, you can change careers, but you don't want to have to change a spouse. Because that's where things deteriorate, right?
Yeah.
So, what I would have done differently, I would have loved to have stayed home and taken care of my children and been, not have to wear 12 different hats and running around. I feel like I have so much more stress and anxiety because I'm trying to be too much to too many different people. And I feel like I don't do anything really well. And for me, that's unacceptable because I'm, a bit of a perfectionist. I'm a bit controlling that way. And it's not a good feeling to feel like you're not doing anything well.
Mm-hmm.
The master of all trades.
Yeah, that's really interesting to think about, because I think that the culture has shifted to, it's not like women can work now, but it's more that they have to. You have no choice. You have to do everything. And if you don't, you're looked down upon by society. There's no other answer besides this. And I think that with the culture shift, we kind of growing up thinking that that's the only way this can be, kids they'll watch the Barbie movie and say, oh, I have to work, I have no choice, send me to school. And it's interesting to think about this, talking to you, because I've read a lot about this in the past and try to understand through my head what actually makes us fulfilled in life. And I think that's the big question. Everyone's trying to find that, but no one really knows what it is. But just talking to people around me, seeing what people think about in their day-to-day life here at a college level, but even talking to older people, like my aunt, for example, or talking to you, I feel I've noticed that a lot of people realize those lessons much later in life, when what truly fulfills us. And it's interesting to look back in that retrospect, how you would have done it differently.
Yeah, it is. And I agree with you. Most women feel like they do have to work, whether it's from a financial standpoint, because most people today, graduating from college, they're not going to be able to buy a home. Inflation's out of control. The environment, the financial environment that we have right now is really not friendly to young people. I'm very nervous about that for all the young people in the world right now. It's very different than when I graduated from college. The thought of owning a house and, having a career and all that, And I was one of those people, like, I would meet with other women that were stay-home moms, and I'm like, must be nice, you know, and I just think, I wouldn't want that for myself, because, you know, I'm a career woman, and, but they're the ones that had it figured out, truly, because that is a very, very important job, is raising your children. There's no more important job than that. If you want to be a doctor and you want to be a lawyer, you know, you have things, absolutely, you can be interested in that and do those things. It comes down to what works for your family, and, you know, that's up to you and your spouse to figure out, right? But it's becoming harder and harder to afford a home, so women feel like they have to work. They feel the pressure of, if they don't work, then they're going to be judged by their, you know, female peers.
Right.
So yeah, and you feel almost like you're less than a woman if you don't have a career these days. You know, I'm a woman, hear me roar. Again, it needs to be a cultural shift. And, you know, when did those things start falling apart? I mean, I in my mind, it was like the 70s. You know, when I was born, these things started to fall apart.
These ideas.
The feminist movement really did not do us any favors.